Hey everybody, Tyler Johnson with Ursa Health back with another quick explainer video. In previous sessions, we took a look at how filters and splits can be used to slice and dice your population and better understand how individual variables or components are contributing to an aggregate level measure result. As we discussed last time, this is also a helpful exercise if you're trying to understand where variation exists within your data set. In today's video, I wanted to take a couple of minutes to briefly introduce a feature of Ursa Studio called Insight Discovery. It's accessible via Analytics Portal, and what it is a way for Ursa Studio to automatically generate and surface to the users where variation exists within a data set. So let's go ahead and dive in. All right, I'm here within Insight Discovery. Now, this feature can be turned on for any measure within Ursa Studio, and at the end of this session, I'll show you how you can set that up. But for today's example, we're going to be walking through our 30-day all-cause readmissions metric. The first thing that you're going to notice when you navigate to Insight Discovery is that you're presented with a bunch of charts and information. Like I said before, what Ursa Studio does within Insight Discovery is it auto-calculates all of the possible split field combinations in order to surface those features of the data set to the end user that have the highest amount of variation when compared to the population level result. So whether you are very familiar with your data set and have pre-established hypotheses about what might be contributing to an overall result, or if you're pretty new to the data set and you're just trying to get a lay of the land and understand what the data is telling you, this is a really great feature to use as a launching off point for your analysis or to confirm your assumptions or understanding. Some of the things that Insight Discovery surfaces might be more expected than others. For example, for a readmissions measure, you might expect that if a patient is a high utilizer of the inpatient setting, if they're going to the hospital a lot, then they would be contributing at higher rates to our readmissions metric. So that might be more expected than not, but this is one of those screens that you can scroll through and either check your understanding and confirm, yep, that's what I thought, or say, oh wow, that's actually more interesting than I thought. For example, variation among providers. Maybe we weren't expecting that level of variation. Or variation based on admission type. So whether the patients are coming in from a transfer or from a referral in age categories. Ursa Studio takes a look at every feature of this data set, and it is auto-calculating a variability score, which is again a comparison to the population level result, and it's surfacing those features of the data set to you, the end user, that have some level of interesting variation or variability. So this is something that I would recommend you definitely go check out and use on your data and see if you can find any interesting insights that maybe you haven't thought of before. As always, if you find something that's interesting and you want to dive into more detail, you can click on any of these charts and it'll go right into Measure Explorer with all the same point and click tools that you're used to for analyzing and filtering and splitting and changing the chart types. That was a quick rundown of Insight Discovery, but now let me jump into the configuration to show you how you can set that up. All right, if you are an architect or above permissions in Ursa Studio, you can directly jump into the measure configuration from Analytics Portal. Of course, you can always navigate to Measure Workshop and find the measure that you're interested in that way as well. I'm going to go ahead and edit our 30-day all-cause readmissions measure to show you that for any measure in Ursa Studio that you want to set up Insight Discovery on, all you have to do is go to that measure's definition and scroll down to this Advanced Analytics panel. About halfway down in the panel, you're going to see a simple yes or no toggle that says, do you want to run Insight Discovery on this measure? If you want to turn it on, you flip it to yes, and then you're presented with a couple of optional sensitivity-based configuration options. The first of which is a blacklist. If you know that there are going to be certain fields that are going to obviously contribute to high levels of variation, you can tell the system to ignore those. It'll save on computation time and it'll drown out some of the noise when you're in Analytics Portal seeing that laundry list of different charts. Some examples might be the one that we looked at where high utilization of an inpatient setting we know is going to contribute to readmission, so we're just going to tell the system to ignore that. Other examples might be age or gender. If there's demographic-based differences in a measure context, that's going to drive obvious variation. You can just tell the system to ignore those. There are child penalty and child max settings, which are defaulted for you, but this is the way that you can set the sensitivity of the intersection of two different analytic field splits. Again, this is just a way that you can tell the system how specific you want to get about what insights to surface. And then there's a significance threshold down here at the bottom of this panel. And this basically tells the system which insights to surface based on their level of variability. So you can pump this number up if you only want to surface the features of the data set that have the highest amount of variation. Or you can bump it way down if you want to say, hey, show me everything, and I'll just scroll through the list of charts and take a look and decide what's interesting and what's not interesting. And that's really it. If you want to turn on Insight Discovery, you toggle it on. You don't even have to set these. These are defaulted for you. But of course, they're there as optional fields if you want to define the specificity of the analysis. So hopefully this was a helpful introduction to the Insight Discovery feature. If you have additional questions or if you want more information on this feature or other advanced analytic features, you can scroll over to our knowledge base, which is on docs.ursahealth.com. There will be more information there. And as always, feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Thanks. We'll talk soon.